Blocker Outdoors and Ole Smokes Coffee present Whitetail Frenzy.
Last week I took my elite bow down to South Carolina and I knocked down a dandy velvet whitetail. This week I'm headed to the Bluegrass State for the opening weekend of archery season.
Whitetail Frenzy is brought to you by Omega Sights. Range it, film it, shoot it. The West Virginia Division of Natural Resources. Elite Archery. Custard Stand. And by Thorn Broadheads.
Had to make a little stop at the farmhouse, go in here and get us some whitetail trail mix, get the truck loaded down. That way we can get these deer fed in Kentucky. What's up, man? Not much. I need to get three bags of whitetail trail mix and 300 pounds of corn.
Got some stuff.
I got a couple pretty good ones, yeah. Gotta keep feeding them, man. Gotta keep them coming in. Well, we got a load of corn and whitetail trail mix. I think we're ready to go. Now that the truck's loaded up, it's time to make a little drive to the Bluegrass State and meet my longtime friend, Brian Bradley. Now, Brian has been part of Whitetail Frenzy since day one, since before we were even on national TV. But Brian has a heck of a lease in Kentucky, and he's gracious enough to let me come hunt with him. Got some great deer over there, so I'm pumped to get over here, get some feed out, get some cameras out, and get some stands hunting.
He looked me right here. He's looking all over my leg.
What's up, buddy?
Oh, you got the dog back in.
Hello.
Dude,
What's up, pal?
man, I'm glad to be here. I'm ready to.
Those for me or the kid?
Dude, they're jacked up on grape soda and donuts.
Oh, yeah, that's good. Daddy daycare, baby.
Brian said, like, when Derek is home with the kids all day, he comes home and the house is clean. It's like, but when I'm with them, like, it's like a disaster.
It's hard.
And I'm
to
like, that
keep up.
sounds familiar,
It
doesn't
really
it?
is. I mean,
Doesn't that sound familiar?
Yes.
they're gonna trash it, and those two are just about as bad as the kids, because they make big messes.
Now, Julie's going to love this trip. You know, me and Brian, we're going to be out in the woods all day, scouting, hanging stands, doing all kinds of fun stuff. And she's stuck back at the house watching our kids and Brian's kids. I'm sure she's going to be having a blast. Hang on one second. So when I'm scouting a new piece of property, the areas that I'm looking for are going to differ depending on when I'm hunting that area. You know, if I'm hunting during the rut, I'm going to look more for just funnels and travel corridors, catching those bucks cruising or chasing. But this time of year, going into the early season archery hunt, these bucks the acorns really aren't starting to fall yet. The bucks are very patternable. They're going to food. So what I'm looking for I'm trying to find out where are they feeding at night, where are they bedding, and I'm trying to get in between those areas. See, the last time we came in, when we were down the creek bottom and up that point, all the deer pictures, I thought they were going to be coming from the other way, but they're all coming from that point. So we put the camera right there, and the deer are coming from here. Either they're bedding in here and coming in, or they're bedding there and circling and getting downwind of it and coming up the point. But either way, I think we need to get up to that field. And I utilized whitetail trail mix to create kind of like a little transition, a staging area where those bucks are going from the bedding to the feeding area, just a place in between where they can feed. This is what they love, whitetail trail mix. But I want to find areas that I can get into and out of without bumping them from their bedding areas. Well, the stand location we have picked out, where we put a camera a couple weeks back, is right off the end of this point. And it's a lot easier to walk just coming right up the flat, or right around the flat and gradually coming up that point. But all the deer have been coming into the camera screen where we were entering the camera, where we planned on entering it. It's a lot more work, but coming up to the top of this mountain and behind us, I'm working in the middle of this field down to the stand. I think we can get in here without blowing those deer out.
That's the best bet.
I think we're gonna be a lot better off there.
You know, once we get up in this, it's not as thick as what I thought around the edges.
It's a lot thicker down on the edges.
Yeah.
But I just wonder if those deer aren't, because this side's a lot thicker, if they're not coming around, getting downwind.
I mean, they might skirt the edge of the field right on the upper part of your stand, honestly. And you just never know when deer are coming in. The bigger ones are always circling.
Well, we got a couple pretty good ones showing up, so let's get out here, get the stand hung, get some feed out, and hopefully we get them coming in.
Whitetail Frenzy is brought to you by Blocker Outdoors, gear that works as hard as you do. Buck Creek Scents, one deer, one season, same bottle. Kanawha Ammunition, Scent Assassin, and by Whitetail Trail Mix.
So much different, man, hunting here than back home. I mean, we run cameras in so many different places, and you know, most of the places we don't find a shooter, and you know, we'll between not just like 10 cameras on one property, but 20 or 30 different locations, and might find 3 big mature bucks. You come out here, put a camera up, and you might have 3 or 4 mature bucks, or even more on one camera.
We're going to out here.
It's just so much different. It's
not like
man.
West Virginia at all, man. But they put the 1 deer limit, man. I mean, that's...
Well, the food sources too, plus...
Yeah, and they don't have the steep terrain.
Well, I'm not going to say that, because where my camera is pretty steep.
Well, yeah, but compared to West Virginia,
Overall, yeah.
it's short. It's steep, but short.
Just park right here.
Yep. This is us.
We'll put 100 pounds of corn on that trailer, and then we can take 2 backpacks and put trail mix in the 2 backpacks.
Oh yeah. Tear it up.
Yeah, and then we got that cart, like my little makeshift cart back there on that rack on Milk Creek.
Buddy, that's a cranberry special right there.
Now this is the 3rd year that Brian's hunted this specific piece of property, so he already has a general idea where we want to hang the stands just from seeing deer movement in the past and trail camera pictures. But the greatest part about this setup is we're able to get the bikes right to it. Dude, I'll tell you one thing, that's a lot easier than backpacking corn in the stand.
Oh my God, it's so easy.
So you're wanting to put out feed and a camera here, and then put out the stand and feed and the camera at a different spot?
Yeah. We'll get something here, put a camera out, and then go on. Hang some stands.
This stand too.
Yeah, this is slick. It's
Yeah.
not a bunch of jingle and jangle.
It's comfy too, man. I really like it. Well, looks like we got the stands hung. We're gonna put out some minerals, put out some more whitetail trail mix and corn, throw up a couple cameras in here, then we're gonna get out of here. Come back over the next few weeks, just keep freshening up the sites, checking the cameras, and hopefully we got some shooters showing up and all this hard work pays off this upcoming fall. We're gonna put the feed to them. Is that right, Brian Bradley? Huh?
Whitetail Frenzy is brought to you by Ole Smokes Coffee. Use promo code FRENZY for all online orders. O Old Oaks Outfitters, Indiana's premier whitetail and turkey hunting destination. Lethally addicting mineral and attractant. Trophy Tree Stands. Whitetail Frenzy is also brought to you by the following partners.
Well, it's opening morning in Kentucky. Set up high in a pine. I got tons of cover. I can't see anywhere except right in front of me. It is so thick in here. So right away comes down off this point, and these deer crawls right out in front of me like crazy. Been coming in, putting out some whitetail trail mix, just trying to entice them to come through there a little more often. Lots of deer activity, lots of buck activity, some nice bucks in here. But the last couple of days, things really slowed down. I don't know what happened. It was like a light switch and very few pictures, but we had a little cool front come in last night. It's down in the 50s this morning, so we might get these deer on their feet. Hopefully I get lucky and put down a Kentucky buck here.
One of the things that I feel over the last 10 or so years that has really increased my odds at killing big bucks is I completely quit hunting the mornings during early season just because I feel like the risk of bumping those deer going in before daylight is a lot higher. And sometimes you bump a big buck one time, that might be all it takes. But this area was kind of an exception for me because I felt like I knew where the deer were feeding primarily at night in a soybean field in the opposite direction from where I came in, and I wasn't getting any nighttime pictures, no pictures early in the morning, but I was getting pictures from like 8:30 to 11:30, noon, 1 o'clock, which told me that I was near their bedding area. So I felt like with this set, I could get in there and get set up before daylight without bumping deer. So during this early season, the daylight hours are long. I saw a couple doe that came in an hour, hour and a half after daylight, but then after that, it was nothing but squirrels, chipmunks, and birds until almost dark.
Well, the wind direction today is not at all what I was expecting. I was expecting a south to southeast wind, which would be coming right across my face like this, which would be pretty good for the setup. But instead, I've got a straight east wind coming right over my shoulder here, blowing right down into this area in front of me. Problem with that is that that's where the deer come from. The deer are coming from the west. My sand's blowing right down into a huge bedding area. You know, at this point, I mean, not a whole lot I can do. I guess I could get down and leave, but I'm gonna chance it and hope our gear works well enough that at least I don't blow those deer out of there. And if I don't get an opportunity today, hopefully tomorrow we'll get a little better wind and can make it happen then.
Now this time of year, the daylight hours are long, so trying to pull an all-day set from daylight till dark is brutal. But one thing I knew is that these deer were close. I was really close to their bedding area, and I knew one could pop out at any moment, and I was worried if I tried to get out of the stand during lunchtime that I was going to bump the deer out of the area.
Whitetail Frenzy is brought to you by Center Point Crossbows, Odoko Wildlife Seed, Warner Law Offices, Reed's Spray Foam Insulation. Whitetail Frenzy is also brought to you by the following partners.
Well, after hours and hours with nothing but squirrels, I finally have a buck headed my way. So as this buck's feeding in front of me, he starts looking back, he starts getting nervous, and all of a sudden, antlers appear in the brush, and there's one of my target bucks headed right toward me. As this buck's down below me feeding, he's quartering toward me, and it's just not a shot I want to take. And all of a sudden, a squirrel takes off running in behind the stand, spooks the deer, and I'm thinking at this point it's game over. This deer was under me feeding for what seemed like an eternity, but he was quartering toward me. I wasn't in any rush because the deer wasn't alert. I was just hoping at some point this buck was going to turn and give me a broadside shot.
Yeah, baby.
So after looking back at the footage, I knew this buck wasn't going to go far. The shot looked great, and I have Dave Cato on standby back at the hotel.
What's up?
Just smoked a 12 point.
Did you?
Yeah.
Alright, sweet.
Yeah.
I figured you were getting one right in the next hour or so.
Man, I really kind of told myself I was going to pass on that deer. But man, when he came in, his body was so big in comparison to that other deer, and my heart was pounding. Dude, I couldn't pass on him. I was going to try to hold out, wait for that 8 point, but anyway.
Alright, I'm get everything ready up here.
All right, man. All right, bye.
The tree I was in, it just wasn't big enough to put another stand in. Plus, I didn't want to cut out any more of the cover behind me. So I'm going to hang out, wait on Dave to come in and film the recovery. Well, we got everything lowered down. I got Cato up here to help me film the recovery. I'm not even going to look for blood. The shot looked good. I heard the deer crash. He crashed hard, sounded like down in the bottom of this hollow. So let's go get our hands on this thing and see how big he is. Well, here he is. What a beautiful whitetail. You know, I know this deer is not a giant, but he got my heart pounding, and I'm tickled to death with him. And that right there is what hunting is all about. got to thank God for the opportunity to get out here and enjoy his creations. You know, I came down here so many times this summer, 2 hours and 45-minute drive one way, putting out feed, checking cameras, hanging stands, and this buck right here was one of my targeted bucks. And that's my favorite part about whitetail hunting there is when it all comes together, when you put the work in, you target a deer and you focus on that deer and you make it happen. Tell you what, I'm starting off the 2020 hunting season pretty good. Got down a nice velvet buck in South Carolina 2 weeks ago, and then here September 5th, we already got down our second big buck. What a way to start off the year with this new Elite Cure. I've taken it out hunting 2 times, taken 2 shots, and put 2 big bucks on the ground. You know, this week's hunt was awesome. It was a Kentucky hunt, and I love the Kentucky early archery season because on private land in Kentucky, you can create food sources. Those deer are so much more patternable. They're not as nocturnal yet. I mean, the evening sets are really, really good, and all the preseason work and time and effort that I put into that area this past summer paid off.
Thanks for watching this week's episode of Whitetail Frenzy. Make sure you follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and tune in next week, same time, same place, as Kenny Davis and Jimmy George chase urban bucks in Charleston, West Virginia.
We picked the steepest hillside on this property for the setup. Goodness gracious. All right.
Don't fall back or I'm done.
What?
Just don't fall back.
Oh man. Okay, that's not gonna work.